A petrified Wanaka woman who was forced to give birth on an office floor says no other woman should go through that experience, and the Southern DHB needs to provide adequate maternity services to the area immediately. Kristi James, who gave birth to her son Mackay last Thursday, had planned to have her second child at Dunedin Hospital, but went into early labour, and Wanaka doesn't have a primary birthing centre. The office birth follows a roadside delivery in an ambulance near Lumsden after another woman didn't make it to hospital in time. Kristi explains what happened the morning her son was born.
It was a really cold night. We had black ice that night. It was raining. I'm pretty petrified, to be completely honest with you, because I had been told by all of the professionals that the best place for me to be to birth my baby was in Dunedin. So once I realized it was all happening so quickly, I did, panic a little bit and start thinking about, well, what's going to happen? What if I do need to see, a doctor or have another C-section? I'm going to have to get choppered, and the roads are a mess, and how am I going to, how's this all going to play out? But
you were running through all the worst case scenarios in your head.
Of course, yeah, of course. I didn't have much time to think too much, but as soon as I turned up at the midwife's office, I looked at Deb and just said, what am I going to do, Deb? And she said, don't worry, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. She just examined me and realized that I was 10 centimetres and ready to push, and away we went.
So what do you think? And it's interesting because you were campaigning for better maternity services during your pregnancy, and then the worst case scenario eventuates for you. What do you think about the fact that you had to give birth in an office space in Wanaka?
Well, the DHB has been promising this maternal hub for I don't even know how long now. It's going on for months and months and months, and they still haven't delivered on it. So, pardon the pun, but let's push things forward here and get it happening. If we had at least a space that wasn't just an office, that had a dedicated area to be able to, deliver a baby, which allegedly this hub is going to have a space to have an emergency birth and all the equipment in it, in addition to apparently a couple of offices and things, then it would have been a much better scenario. I mean, ultimately, we need a primary birthing unit here. And better yet, we need a hospital in Central. I mean, not just for obstetric care, but for everything. So worst case scenario, I mean, I think had the DHB just pulled their fingers out and got this hub happening, then maybe I would have had a better situation. I mean, we were sitting in the office, and Deb had women coming in that she needed to see that day, and she had to call the cleaning service to get them to come clean the carpets, and they had to wait outside because we weren't ready to leave yet because I was so lightheaded and I was losing blood. So it's just all a bit, I mean, it's just ridiculous, really. I mean, we're so lucky. We're really, really lucky that we didn't have any complications. And, for a fairly high risk VBAC, it's not a very straightforward kind of no risk kind of situation. We were incredibly lucky, and I put that down to somebody out there looking after me because of the work that I have done on this cause over the last year and a bit. That's all I can think, and that's all that makes sense to me is that this is all for a reason, to just get Mackay here safe and sound. And if that's what it was, then I'm happy with the result. But now it needs to change. It's just gone too far, and it's gone on for way too long, and there's no excuses anymore. I don't want anybody else to ever have to go through what I had to go through.
You will appreciate, obviously, that the DHB maintains that it's done all the research and looked at all the data about birth rates and what facilities are needed and these hubs of what they have settled on. What would you say to them? If you could get their ear right now, what do you want to say to them?
I just want to say to them, what's it going to take for you to realize that your stats are wrong? Because there's all kinds of different opinions on what's needed, and there's so many different people that make these decisions. But what I would love for somebody to do is I would love for somebody to get in the car in Wanaka, have some kind of simulated labor, and have them drive down to Dunedin 3.5 hours in good weather and tell me if they think that is a safe situation. No midwife follows. You're on your own. God knows what the weather could be doing. And no wonder we're having babies on the side of the road and in offices, and we have the highest home birth rate in the whole country here in Wanaka, because nobody wants to do that. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely an unnecessary risk that we are putting our families and our babies in, and it has to come to an end. It's just not okay. And New Zealand is supposed to have this amazing kind of system in place that all other countries are following. And yes, we do have incredible midwives here that are incredibly capable, and we have excellent pre- and postnatal care. But for rural women and for rural LMCs, something needs to change. This is just, it's not enough.
And that is Kristi James, who gave birth to her son Mackay in a Wanaka office.